Good morning. It's them. Personal space is just an inconvenience. Good morning, Vante. Good morning, Sarah. Welcome in. How are you doing today? I'm polishing off the last of my coffee and then I'm gonna get started here. A rare scenario in which I actually made my coffee before before stream instead of making it during stream. Rotting Beach, welcome in. How are you today? Today does need to be a little bit shorter. I have a bunch of stuff I have to get done today and some errands to run. It's a 3-day weekend, which is nice. Here in the States at least, it is a 3-day weekend. Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So I technically have a 3-day weekend. I had to work overtime on Friday though, so it didn't feel like the start to a weekend, but that's okay. Could be better. I'm sorry to hear that, Sarah. I hope things get better. She just heard me ring my water bottle like a gong. No, you did. I'm good listening to you in 3D, Twitch and YouTube on phone and computer. He's all around us. He's in the walls. Oh, I need to put the ping on Discord. Here, I'll go over to the canvas while I put it. Not Twitch. Oh my goodness, they're all the same. Okay, let's see here. I really need to get a bot that'll just do this for me. I always forget. You better rest well. I will try. I will try to use my rare 3-day weekend. There we go. Oh, did I tell you guys? I'll tell you about it once I excuse me. Once I finish making this little post. Because no matter how pessimistic I am, and anyone who knows me will tell you I am deeply pessimistic. No matter how pessimistic I am, I try not to assume the worst about people. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. If I don't know them, if they're a complete stranger to me, I generally try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm going somewhere with this. Sit tight. I try to assume the best in people well, okay, the best is probably a stretch, but I try not to assume the worst. Is probably a better way of saying it. But I got this message, this DM from someone, probably over, what was it? Like over Christmas, New Year's ish. And they just sent me a message saying, "Oh, Happy New Year." And I'm like, I have no idea who you are. I don't recognize your username. And you're not someone who follows me in the sense that, you know, like Sarah, Vontae, Babel, Rotting Beach, like I recognize the usernames that like show up to streams or like maybe comment on like my stuff on Instagram and so on. Like I have a pretty, I would like to think that I have a pretty good memory, and I can recognize the usernames of folks who have been kind enough to say hello and maybe comment on my work or support me in any way. I try to, I make a point of remembering those names so that when I see those people pop up maybe elsewhere, that I know who they are. And this is someone that I did not recognize. First red flag, I did not recognize this person's username. So I'm like, okay. So right off the bat, I thought, I'm like, are you a bot? Are you gonna like try to tell me to sell jewelry or something? I get a lot of those scammy Instagram messages now and then. I'm like, okay, hello, Happy New Year. And I go and I look at their profile, and they seem normal. They draw a little bit, so they're doing some art, and they post normal things. So like, okay, it's a human. It looks like a human, assuming their account hasn't been hacked. It looks like they're a human. So we've got that going for us. I don't think it's a bot. And I'm like, Happy New Year. Because I still don't know who this person is. I don't know if it's someone that I should recognize. Maybe they've got like a different username. Maybe they changed their username and that's why I don't recognize them. But again, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. You know, if I don't know who they are, if I don't recognize their name, I'm like, okay, I'll try to give them a chance. I'll do my best. And they weren't very good at holding a conversation. It was giving a little bit of bot-like energy. So I was like, okay, well maybe your account's been hacked because you don't seem to be able to hold a normal conversation. So basically they just said, "Oh, you know, Happy New Year. How have you been?" I'm like, I've been doing well. How about yourself? They're like, "I've been good. I'm just working on art." I'm like, okay, cool. Like, am I the weird one? Am I the weird one who's looking at this conversation like, you initiated conversation with me, so clearly you must have something that you want to say. I would assume. Maybe I'm assuming too much. I don't know. I'm probably just gonna merge. I'm gonna be really lazy and just loosely sketch this out, I think. This is a very, very messy sketch. I'll isolate that and I will just merge the rest because I can't be arsed. Okay. So this person can't hold a conversation. They can't. They're just not holding a conversation with me. So I'm just kind of, all right. I've been well. How about yourself? And they say, "Oh, you know, I've been good, just working on art." And I'm like, all right. Me too. I've also been drawing lately. Like, this person just can't hold a conversation. And I'm like, again, and I'm thinking, are you a bot? What's going on? Did I not merge all of it? Is his hair in a different layer? Is that what I did? It is. Oh my gosh. Okay, fine. I will merge this too. That's fine. That's fine. I'm just gonna be lazy today. Hello, Sunny. Welcome in. How are you today? So they can't hold a conversation, and so they're saying like, oh, you know, just working on art, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, do you want to tell me about the art that you're working on? Like, are you excited about the project you're working on, and that's why you wanted to initiate a conversation with me? Like what's the vibe? Like, what are we aiming for here? Because I mean, sure, it's a little bit not strange. That's probably too strong of a word, but you know, just like cold DMing someone and not really having anything to say is a bit weird. And again, I'm thinking, are you a bot? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, that's cool. What are you working on? And they're like, oh, you know, I'm working on art. I think it's gonna be a book cover. And I'm like, oh, so are you like an author and you're like working on your own cover for your book, and like maybe that's why you sent me a message, because I'm also an author and I draw a little bit and so on. And I'm like, oh, okay, you know, maybe that's why you messaged me, because they're still giving me absolutely nothing to work with here. Cynthia, welcome in. How are you today? Masu, good to see you. Yes, I am dual streaming. We're live on both Twitch and YouTube. Welcome in. Actually off this weekend, so joining your stream for once. Well, welcome in. I'm glad you could make it. It sounds a little bit like some of my younger students. Yes, I would say that I definitely got the impression they were someone young. It was... And again, once I tell you like the punchline, for lack of a better word, you're gonna be like, wow, that was really, really obvious. But again, I'm sitting here like I'm a pessimist by nature, but I'm trying really hard to give people the benefit of the doubt and, you know, just see where it goes. I think where is that? There's like this little hairline. Where is that? Where did I put it? Where did I put your hair? There it is. Oh my gosh. Okay. Probably gotta clean up his ear too. I don't know. His face is very, very messy. The whole sketch is messy, but whatever. I'll work it. So they say, oh, I'm working on some art. I think it's gonna be a book cover. And because they said the word think, it put in my mind like, oh, so are you an author maybe sketching something that you're considering using for your book cover, but you're not sure yet? I'm like, okay, well that would explain why perhaps this person is messaging me, because I am also an author who draws a little bit. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. That sounds like a fun project. I'm like, what do I say to this? And they're like, do you want to see it? And I'm like, sure, yeah, I'd be happy to see it, I guess. Like, sure, yeah, like if you want to show me your artwork because you're excited about something that you're working on, and so you message me, like, sure, yeah, I'm happy to look at your artwork. Like, of course. And then they send me a link that is not to the quote-unquote artwork they were working on. They send me a link. They send me a link to their commissions page. That's what the whole thing was. It was just a really, really low-effort grift to try to get me to buy art from them. I don't commission art. Why? So yeah, so then it kind of made sense. I'm like, oh, okay. You're someone who hires yourself out for book covers. So you're trying to bait a book cover commission out of me because you know I'm an author. and I want to grab them by the scruff and point. I'm like, I draw my own art. If I wanted to draw my own cover, I would. I don't need your help. But yeah, it was so weird. And then I looking back on it, it was so obvious. It just should have been obvious. But again, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt for some stupid reason that I haven't really figured out yet. Yeah, I didn't respond. I wanted to like yell at them a little bit, but I figured that would be a little too mean, so I didn't. But I was thinking about it. Victoria, welcome in. How are you today? I knew it. They get weirder by the minute. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I like, and again, it was, I would have never guessed you're a pessimist. Yeah, it just, oh my gosh, it was so obvious that I felt stupid when they finally sent it. I'm like, oh, no wonder you couldn't hold a conversation with me, because you're not trying to have a conversation, you're trying to bait a sale out of me. I'm like, gosh. Anyways, I never responded, and they never sent me another message after that. It's just like, oh my gosh. Anyways, that was my adventure with a random DM from someone, where I tried to treat them like a normal human being, and they were just like, hello, consume product, please. You should have been blunt with them. I was thinking about it. They wouldn't have listened, though. We all know that they wouldn't have listened. Bro, I show people your cover and tell them you draw it. Ask me if you do commissions. Why would you commission somebody else? Yeah. And like, I don't want to be rude to this person. Their art was not bad. It was solid artwork. And clearly they are getting commissions from other people, because the stuff that they were working on was actual commissions. They're clearly just trying to build their portfolio, and I get it. And I don't want to be mean, but also my art is better. I'm like, I'm sorry, if you wanna bait out commissions, at least make sure the person that you're trying to bait out doesn't already draw better than you. And I use the term better in air quotes. You can't see me, but I'm making air quotes, because their art was not bad. It was not bad. They were not a like complete beginner. They clearly had some ability, and they'd had some practice, just like myself. But anyways, that was my adventure, and now I'm reminded why I don't usually answer DMs from people. The lore of the pessimism. Nori, welcome in. How are you? New to your channel and really like your art, especially the Hellfire animatic. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I know it's been a long time, but there are more animatics coming, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully this year, depending on how my schedule is with work. I'm very excited because I'm doing some more ambitious, I want to call them camera movements, because that's how my brain thinks of them. I know it's not technically a camera movement because I don't have a 3D space, but I'm excited. I've given him this little like swoop of hair right here, and I keep misreading it in my brain as his eyebrow. I might need to change that. It's kind of real. They should have done the research. It'd be their fault if they get yelled at. Not saying people should be rude, but yeah, definitely. And I try to, with artists of any kind, because I've mentioned this before on a couple of streams where I've talked about, how do I want to, what does your hairline look like? Did I ever give you a distinctive shape? I don't think so. I know you have sideburns. Anyways, okay, anyways, think it aloud. I've mentioned before in like some other streams how when I'm working, I say working with, again, in air quotes, whenever I'm interacting, that's a better word, with Did I put this on the same layer? No. Okay, good. When I'm interacting with artists of any kind, and I've mentioned this before on stream in the context of working or interacting with other authors or writers. They may not be published yet. Maybe they're a writer, they're not an author yet. I am usually nicer than I should be. Sometimes I will read someone's work and be like, ooh, I should be mean to you. But I choose not to. So it's the same thing with artists when they're like, hey, you should commission me. And I look at their art and I look back at my own art and I'm like, if I wanted to pay money for that, I would just draw it myself because that's like the same level of skill that I have. So it's like I'm not getting a whole lot out of this exchange. I was hoping they were just being friendly and wanted to collaborate or something. I naively hope every now and then when someone messages me, like maybe they just want to be nice. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't want to try to milk money out of me. But honestly, that's actually, I don't think it's ever been the case. I would say very rarely, but I don't think that's ever happened. No one's ever contacted me to be like, hey, I love your work, let's do like some sort of collaboration, or I'd love to do like an art trade, or whatever. People are always like, hello, and they hold out their hand, they're like, give me stuff. Whether like people will ask for free artwork, people will ask for free like editing or beta reading, or like mentoring with writing, like anything. Like people just come up to me and they're like, hello, give me free stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know what to say to that other than please leave me alone. More animatics, yippee. I'm sat waiting for volume 2 to come out. I'm very excited for volume 2. I had a really productive weekend writing Immolation this past weekend, so that was very exciting. I'm very happy about that. I will, but bro, I was sobbing a few days ago. Wait, it's beta reading now too? Oh, honey, don't even get me started on beta reading. Oh man, I've been on an adventure with beta reading. I've had to stop doing it, which is really a shame because I really enjoy reading. Just in general, I just enjoy reading. But I also really like reading other authors' work because I am an author or a writer if they're not published yet. I enjoy doing that because I have been in the position of really wanting and needing. What is that? Oh, I think it's just the colors. I've been in that position of really wanting and needing another pair of eyes to look at my work. And I enjoy the opportunity to help someone in a situation that I can really relate to. And especially if it's something that I feel like I do pretty well. I would like to think that when I offer beta reading, I am able to give objective feedback in a way that is beneficial. So, because without getting too philosophical, I personally believe that if you're trying to help someone improve, you don't do that by just ripping apart what they've made and insulting it, or telling them that it's hopeless, or telling them that their work is terrible, or anything like that. I think you should be able to provide actionable feedback. So you need to, this is probably my professional employment history coming into play because I'm also a quality assurance, I guess, supervisor now, technically, where my whole job role revolves around giving people actionable instructions of how to improve. So maybe it's a little bit of that, but I don't like just telling someone their work is terrible and they should give up. I don't think that helps anybody. I see a lot of that in beta reading, because I was talking with a friend of mine who does not publish fiction. He publishes nonfiction that is relevant to his field of study. But he and I were just kind of talking about how, because there's like this certain level of competition, people are more inclined to just be cruel than they are to give feedback that can actually help someone improve, because the mentality is if you help someone improve, then they're going to become competition for you, and you want to eliminate as much competition as possible, which is foolish, and I don't like that. I get that it's a very common mentality. There's a spider on my wall. Hang on, I'm gonna get a little cup and a napkin to put it outside. You guys get to come with me. Okay, napkin acquired. Come here, little guy. There's a really, really nice little pomegranate bush outside, and you're gonna go right on it, and you're gonna have a very nice time. Just please hold still. I gotcha. Okay, come here. The hope in humanity is disintegrating. Cutting out anyone who says hi. Yeah, it's rough. Okay, the little guy has been, or girl, I don't know. I don't know which one it is. I can't tell. Our little friend has been relocated outside. It is extremely foggy today. It's very beautiful. If you like Silent Hill, the vibes are here. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna put this over here. There we go. Your work is terrible and you should give up. Sounds like a burnt out teacher that doesn't enjoy their work. Yeah, so I had someone do that to one of my projects recently. Well, semi-recently. It's been a few months. Basically, the last time that I had a beta reader on to read, they were just like, you should quit. And I'm like, okay, thanks. That's not very helpful. But I can tell from your attitude towards me that you're not trying to help me. You've just decided you don't like me for some reason, which is fine. No one's required to like me or my work. But yeah, I've been on the receiving end of feedback like that, and I know that it doesn't help anything, even if something just isn't to your tastes, because there's all sorts of work. There's all sorts of fiction and vibes and so on and so forth, but like that doesn't help anything. I don't know. I have opinions, and most of my opinion is, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. To quote Thumper from Bambi. But yeah, I've been on the receiving end of that, and because I have, and on top of that, I grew up, I don't know, from like middle school-ish to like the end of high school, however old you are during that time. I was put in like very traditional art classes. Like that's where I started my like quote unquote formal art education. And that means that I had to like complete a particular piece with a particular medium each week. And then we'd have like a group of like between 5 to 7 students in per week, and we'd all have to critique one another. So I'm used to receiving critique for a creative work. I know what that process is like. And I know that sometimes people are just going to say it's just the most random, stupid things. But it's just like, I have opinions on the proper ways to give feedback and not. But yeah, so it's not they, them spider, the theater. Is a gender non-conforming spider who hopefully is going to have a delicious, succulent pomegranate meal in the pomegranate bushes outside. But yeah, I had someone, actually it was 2 people. It was basically 2 people at once, which was really frustrating because I got really unlucky, I think, and I ended up partnered, for lack of a better word, with 2 people who wanted to exchange manuscripts. And they both did not like my work, which is fine. And there's no rule that says you have to like my work. But I would hope that if you don't like it, you're at least, you know, cordial about it. Because if someone sent me their work and I didn't like it, I would just say, this isn't for me. I don't think that I can give you the best kind of feedback. I don't think I can give you feedback that would really be helpful because it's just not my genre. And that's it. That's all I would say. I wouldn't say this is horrible and you should stop writing because that's cruel and there's no reason to say things like that. But that's the sort of stuff that I get from people. That's what I got from the last 2 people who beta read my secret project. They were like, this is horrible. Your characters are soulless and I hate reading them. I don't like any of these characters. None of them are likable or pleasant. I think, I had one person who what was the word that I used? I think I used the word ermine. So I used the word ermine and they were like, I don't know what that means. Change that so it's something that I know. I'm like, it's not my fault if you don't have a good vocabulary. I'm like, why are you getting mad at me? Oh my goodness. But that's just the sort of thing that you run into a lot with beta reading. And I really wish that I had more time and energy because I enjoy beta reading and I've read some really lovely stories while doing beta reading. But lately it's become such a burden that I can't bring myself to do it, which is a shame. Sorry, but may I get a rundown of the lore? Because I'm kind of confused still. Let's see. All right, who wants to give the too long didn't read lore of Immolation that's spoiler free? Okay, so let's see here. So we have, allow me to explain through interpretive dance. Let's see here. So this is Cyril. Everybody say hi, Cyril. And this is Brontë. Everybody say hi, Brontë. I know they exist, or rather other people exist in tastes too. One of the readers told me that, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what they said. They wrote me like this whole essay on how everything I wrote was horrible and I should basically stop writing. And a lot of that was like, you shouldn't write because you're a man. I'm like, oh, okay. Have a nice day, ma'am. but yeah, just all sorts of stuff with like, I can't remember exactly what they said because they said so much, but I remember specifically being told that it was soulless, being told that the characters like weren't fun to read, and this is for the Secret Project. This isn't for Immolation. Trust me, I have gotten plenty of comments on Immolation. We can talk about those after. Oh boy, can I. Go for it, as long as it's spoiler free. Live your best life. So, Brontë and Cyril. Cyril is the Archbishop of a fantasy. This is one of the big things. Hellfire the Animatic is not, it's not like the Christian Catholic Church of the real world. Immolation, okay, I'm going on board. Hellfire the Animatic was the very first thing that I did for this project, and it was before anything had been written down or anything like that. It was really and truly just done for the vibes originally. I was like, I'm gonna make this fun animatic project for Halloween, and I'll use Hellfire, and it'll be great, it'll be so much fun, and that's gonna be it. That was the plan, which was great at first. And then the story just wouldn't leave me alone. It really, really wanted to be told. So I'm like, okay, I have to figure out how to tell this story. So, Volume 1 of Immolation has already been published. That is the first book. It's going to be a total of 3 books. Volume 2 is currently in the works. Well, technically both Volume 2 and Volume 3, but whatever. Volume 1 has been published. If you've watched the Hellfire Animatic, it's technically a spoiler for the story, because the Hellfire Animatic includes events that happen in Volume 3. So if you're going to be reading Immolation, you're actually going to be getting like the backstory of everything that leads up to Hellfire. Because that's just the nature of how the project came together, and I didn't expect it to turn into this, and so on and so forth. So we have Cyril. Hi, Cyril. Everybody's saying hi to you. Please be nice. Cyril is the Archbishop, and he serves at the cathedral called Our Beloved Lady, which is in the city of Windermere, which is in a fictional fantasy universe. It is not like the real world. It doesn't take place in the real world. I know some people get confused with Hellfire, because Hellfire is obviously based off of Hunchback of Notre Dame, and that very much takes place, it's a fictional story, but it takes place in our world. Brontë, everybody say hi, Brontë, to the best, most precious, and wonderful girl. Brontë is a novice at the church that Cyril is currently the head of. The church itself, part of their identity, a huge part of their identity, specifically the church in Windermere, is that they are also responsible for hunting vampires. The clergy are the only ones who can permanently kill a vampire. They're the only ones equipped to do it. Cyril is a vampire hunter, and Brontë is a half vampire, or a dhampir, as they're called. And there's no law in their religion for what to do with the dhampir, because it's never really happened before. So Cyril is struggling. That's the general. You could just summarize this entire story as Cyril having a horrible time trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Which is good fun. Big fan of that. I didn't know there was a book. Where can I find the book? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here, hold on. Let me send you a quick link here. I'll put it in the chat as well. You can find it on Amazon. But what I'm going to send you, or what I'll put in the chat rather, is it's called Books to Read. And that'll give you links to everywhere it's for sale. So it'll include Amazon if you want to pick it up from Amazon. It'll include like Barnes & Noble, and it'll also include a bunch of ebook options. Like if you want to get it on Smashwords. I believe it should be on Libby as well. I don't think there's a link to Libby, but Libby, if you're not familiar, is like a library, so you can rent it. You don't have to buy it. If money is tight for you, then you can also rent it through Libby or various other digital libraries for free as well. But yes, thank you for your interest. And going forward, it will be on Amazon, like the next 2 volumes of the story will also be on Amazon. I'm not sure if we will do the global distribution, like through Barnes and Noble, etc. It might have to stay specifically to Amazon. I'm not sure yet. I just have to kind of work with the printers and everything. So, but yes, on Amazon, wherever books are sold, as I like to say. Short story is Tia gets treated very badly by others, and it's as a hobby mostly because of low reading comprehension. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I've had some people make comments like, your sentences are too long, make them easier to read, and you're using a word that I don't know, and I don't like that. If I see a word that I don't know in a manuscript or in a book, I grab my dictionary and I look at it and I'm like, yay, I've just learned a new word. This is great. I don't know. I would say that my writing is not as approachable as some other works might be, but it's the sort of writing that I like to read. Because even if nobody else is reading it, I read it and I enjoy it. So, I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. Hi, Brontë. Libby uses AI now? Dang, that sucks. Art looking delicious. Thank you, Heaven. Welcome in. How are you doing today? The fun of schmuckery. Yes, Cyril is a 100% bona fide schmuck, as we like to say around here. But yes, so Cyril is the Archbishop, Brontë is a novice, and they both get to struggle. is the general gist of things. But yeah, I know that I had that one beta reader who wrote me, like, I think it was like a total of 6 or 7 pages of someone. Basically, they told me, so I had finished, quote unquote, finished the manuscript for Immolation Volume 1, and I was looking for beta readers, and I found someone, and they read it, and they're like, yeah, it was great, except I don't like the point of view that it's written in, and I think you should rewrite the entire manuscript in a different point of view. And I was just staring at their feedback like, I'm like, it sent me like spiraling into a crisis for like a good 2 or 3 weeks, because I was just sitting there like, I didn't even realize that people felt this strongly about the point of view. Anyways, it turned out to be fine. I didn't rewrite the manuscript, so it turned out to be fine. But that's the sort of thing, is that and again, it just circles back to, in my mind, everyone has different preferences. That's completely normal. But you can't or shouldn't treat your opinion as objective fact, because everyone has a different opinion. Everyone has different preferences. And so they were sitting there like writing me a whole several pages long essay about how no one's ever going to read this. You need to change it. No one's going to like it. And it's such a shame. Like the way that they worded it is, it's going to be such a shame when nobody reads this really good story because you didn't write it the way that George R.R. Martin writes his books. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not George R.R. Martin. So it shouldn't matter. But That's the sort of quote unquote feedback that I would get, which makes it tough, makes it tricky, but we persevere. My rant about people not reading classics is going to be endless. Oh man. Don't even get me started. I don't think, yeah, I don't think my friend is in the chat today, but they were telling me the other day about how, I think it was their roommate pointed at a copy of Dante's Inferno and was like, "Oh, is that a romantasy book?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, I want to scream." But also, yes, if you're wondering why I don't post a ton of lore, it's because I don't want people... Because obviously Hellfire already spoils a little bit of the Immolation story. Not all of it. There's still plenty of story that you're going to get. But it does spoil? Oh my goodness. It spoils one of the plot points that happens later in the story. But I generally try to keep the lore pretty vague and kind of like high level. That way I don't spoil things for people who do want to read the books, because I want the people who read the books, if they choose to read the books, I want them to still be able to like look at my art and watch the animatics and, you know, still be able to participate and have fun with those without ruining the books or through spoilers. That said, I think I have like 6 or 7 scripts ready. I just need to do the speed paints for them. I have like 6 or 7 different lore videos. I've got several animatics I want to do. There's all sorts of stuff. There's all sorts of stuff and goodies coming. But yes, so that's kind of why there isn't a ton to find in terms of lore, because I don't want to spoil the books. I want people to be able to, because I know that people are more likely to find the Hellfire animatic, and if they want to then go look at some of the other videos that I'll be doing or pick up the book, I want people to be able to do that in any order, and it's not going to like negatively impact one or the other. I had a comment, I want to say it was from Victoria off the top of my head. I'm sorry if I'm misremembering who left the comment, but a comment on the trailer that I did for Animatic, oh my goodness. The trailer that I did for Immolation Volume 1, the comment saying that now that I've read the book, I can see like all the little things that happen and all the context for different things. And I was like, yeah, I love to hear it. I read the blurb for the book and it sounds so good. Thank you so much. Excuse me, what? I should have said yes. Yeah, so it's just, I have opinions, on the modern reader. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy that people are reading. I know that romantasy as a genre has brought a lot of people back to reading as a hobby, and I'm glad for that. I'm glad that people are reading. But I do cry a little bit at the reading comprehension is not great. But hopefully, one can dream as more authors maybe get into like the self-publishing space and so on and so forth. Hopefully, people can be exposed to writing that encourages them to flex those reading comprehension muscles, and they can develop a deeper appreciation for reading and perhaps even go back and read some of the classics later. Am I naive to think that? Probably, but I can dream. Brontë has like her other arm kind of like behind her head, because basically my original idea was that like, so this is one arm, right? So this is her shoulder, that's her upper arm, elbow, yada yada, her little fingies. And her shoulders go across here, her other shoulder is here, and then her other arm actually kind of like goes up here. And I was considering like having like her little fingertips kind of poking out, and maybe she's like holding on to like the back of Cyril's neck, because I thought that'd be really cute. But then I realized that she's wearing her veil, because she's a novice, so she wears a veil. And so her veil is going to be like coming in front and like completely covering her arm, so you can't even see it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I want to do. But yeah, I think it'll be really interesting. I don't know how I'm gonna handle beta readers for Volume 2, which this is part of why Volume 2 takes a little bit longer, is because if I have someone read Volume 2, odds are they are going to want to read Volume 1 first, so they have all the context and then can go into Volume 2. Which is fine, except that now you have to give people like an extra 2 or 3 months to read the first book and then go into the second book. And that's like on top of having like my editor go through it, which obviously takes time, and I have to wait in a queue for my slot with my editor and all of that. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see kind of how it all shakes out, because I haven't even thought about ARC readers yet. I don't even want to think about it. I couldn't believe my eyes when I first saw Cyril's hand placement. Close to I promise he is holding her around the waist. He's not grabbing her by the titty. He's close, but because she's wearing a corset, because she's in her normal attire. No grippers. No grippers for Cyril. He's not allowed. I have forbidden him. He has to. He's actually cutting it pretty close here as is, but to be honest, I like your writing. As someone who is not a natural English speaker, I like that your style is kind of different from other works. Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. I've been very fortunate to have several English second language, or perhaps English third language, etc. Readers chime in on my book, because I really wanted it to be pleasant to read for people, even if they're not native English speakers. So that means a lot to me. Thank you very much. Even Kindle has a dictionary tool, so I don't get all the fuss that you've got. Yeah, I don't get it. The person who told me, so I used the word ermine, and they told me, okay, again, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean to anybody. So the word I used, it's really hard for me to write with a tablet. Oh my gosh. Let me try again. I need to make this brush smaller. Okay, the word that I used was ermine. They told me that instead of ermine, because quote unquote, I had to Google ermine, instead of that, you should use a different word. The different word that they told me to use. Wait, I have to remember, because they didn't spell it right. They used stout, and so they told me to use stout. what they meant was stoat. So not only were they saying, I don't like looking up new words, they then corrected me to the wrong word. So I really, I don't like being a dick. I try not to be a dick, but when someone corrects, quote unquote, corrects me and is then wrong, I'm like, I'm so sorry, you're making this way too easy for me. I'm at least gonna call you out on the fact that you've quote unquote corrected me wrong. I'm pretty sure the comment that I left in response to their quote unquote correction with stout was, I first of all said, if I'm reading something and it teaches me a new word, I consider that a good thing. So I'm not going to change the word. Second, I think the word that you meant was stoat, not stout. Stout is probably like, well, if you're referring to a noun, you probably mean a beer. Or you could be referring to stout as in the adjective chubby. And then they did not respond. they just ghosted me. They're just like, and I'm like, you know what, that's fair. Because they were probably embarrassed, and I get that, and I'm not deliberately trying to embarrass someone. I don't think that's kind. So I don't try to deliberately embarrass people. But when you come at me and you try to act all high and mighty and tell me to do things, and then you're wrong on top of it, I am gonna say something. Anyways, that was one of the more comical situations that I ran to. That was not for Immolation, that was for my secret project. It's a separate thing. Your book isn't difficult to read. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Let's see. I want to... But yeah, I'll be curious to see kind of what the response is to volume 2, because generally speaking, when it comes to beta reading, I think this is, yeah, okay, let's see, so I can change this here. I never really decided what pose her hand was going to be in, so we'll just sketch and we'll see where we go. I was kind of thinking me twisting my hand trying to figure out how she's got her hand set up. I was thinking kind of having her little finger a bit more pulled back. I'm not sure. And I think this one, whoops. Not sure if I like that index finger being straight, so I'm probably gonna change it, I think. Yes, if Brontë was like actually holding her hand like this and like touching his cassock, she would get burned. We're just ignoring that for the sake of the vibes of the piece. I've got to go. Have a wonderful stream. Thank you so much for stopping by, Heaven. I hope you had fun. Have a great rest of your weekend. Stay hydrated out there. exceptionally blue teapot of you. Is that a phrase? not heard that phrase before. Blue teapot? Am I the weird one? Am I the only one who hasn't heard that phrase? Or are you teaching me a new phrase that I can add to my, well, my vocabulary, but it's a phrase, not a word, but still. Let's see. I will, and I'm still not sure about her fingers on the back of his neck. She does have her little collar. Do you remember the meme? That's right, the sassy teapot. Wait, let me see if I can find that picture so I can bring it up on screen. Because I think it was in the I think it was in the meme channel in the Discord. Let's see here. Okay, I found it. Yeah, so this is the vibe when when someone corrects me and then they're wrong. The cup of coffee included. Like, actually. But again, I don't like embarrassing people. I don't like being rude or condescending. It just, if someone acts that way towards me, I'm very much someone who will try, I will try my best to not return the way that they're acting towards me. Like I don't return like tit for tat. That's not something I want to do. But man, do I have my limits. There's just sometimes people push past that limit. And I end up finally having to try it in the nicest way possible, just to try to not put them in their place, because that, again, that sounds mean, and I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, but it's just, my goodness. I love that teapot so much. I wonder if actually, look at me actually naming my layers. But yeah, so I haven't been beta. Oh man, did I tell? I think I told a couple of people in just DMs, like on Discord. But basically, I'm talking to myself again. Ignore me. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So I'm in a couple of like subreddits, forums, etc., that are all centered around beta reading. I'm in a bunch of Discords for it as well, so on and so forth, all that good stuff. Well, someone posted kind of a discussion. Excuse me. Someone posted a discussion about how polished do you have your manuscript before you give it to people to beta read? Like what's your standard? How much do you try to polish up your manuscript? And the general discussion was, you know, like how much do you polish your manuscript? What makes a manuscript basically unreadable for you? Like if you're, because again, when you're beta reading, you're reading something that's unfinished. So there are going to be things that are rougher as compared to a finished manuscript that's ready for publication. So there's probably going to be some spelling errors, some grammar errors. There might be, hopefully not at this point, but there might be like some continuity errors, things like that. I had to have my editor go through and check for continuity because of things like I might say on like page 90 that Cyril took his hat off, and then page 91 I say that he took his hat off again because I forgot he had already taken it off. So stuff like that. That's what we mean when we say continuity. So there's going to be errors and things like that in a manuscript that's ready for beta reading because it hasn't had that final level of polish yet, but it should be, and I stress this, readable. It should be readable. And I have a different standard of what I consider to be quote unquote readable versus others, which is fine because everyone has different standards for things. But for example, one of my deal breakers for reading a manuscript, for beta reading a manuscript, is if the tense changes way too much. So when we say tense changes, we're talking about past or present. And a lot of people, myself included, will often think in present tense, meaning I am doing, I am going, etc., versus I did, I went, etc. And in writing a manuscript, I use past tense. But a lot of people, when they're working on their manuscripts, will change their tense, sometimes several times per paragraph. And I find that very difficult to read. And also, personally, again, I try to be nice. I'm not someone who is trying to embarrass people or anything like that. But if I see the type of errors where someone is changing the tense of their manuscript several times within a paragraph, I see that as they haven't done any kind of editing or checking, like they haven't read this back. And that is a very telling mistake. It tells me that they're probably rushing, that they probably haven't read through, that they haven't done like a spell check or a grammar check because it would pick up on some of those things. Stuff like that. And that's kind of one of my deal breakers. If I see that, I know that the manuscript isn't ready for a read from me. And I'm going to find it very hard to read, and I think it's indicative of not a low level of quality, because I don't think that would necessarily be fair to say that someone's writing is lower quality because they made that mistake. But I interpret it as them not necessarily treating that manuscript with the level of care and attention to detail that I would like to see from an author or writer that I am in the position of possibly spending several hours to assist them with bettering their writing. If they're not showing that bare minimum level of effort, I'm not going to invest my effort. That's for me. That's my standard. Everyone's standards are different, but that's my approach. And so I said as much when I commented on this little post that was made where people were talking about what they consider to be quote unquote polished enough for a beta read and so on. And I said, yeah, tense changes are one of my big things. I find it really hard to read. And if someone hasn't fixed that, then I'm going to say no. I'm going to say, sorry, I can't read this in the state that it's in, but maybe once you go through a couple of edits, then, I can look at it again. And I said that in a very general sense, right? I said it in a very vague sense, not mentioning like any one particular person or anything like that, because again, I don't like embarrassing people. There's no reason to call out names or anything like that on such a topic. That would just be unkind and completely unnecessary. So I didn't name any particular person. And this person that I've never met nor interacted with responded, and they were like, well, sorry, I guess I just can't have a manuscript read by you. And I'm like, who are you? I'm like, I've never met you before. I don't recognize your username. I've never messaged you. Why are you taking what I said as a very general statement so personally? But yeah, they just like went on this whole rant of like, well, it's just because I think, and when the story flows, I can't stop it. And I'm like, I need you to calm down, and I need you to pull yourself together, because I can't deal with that right now. It was just so strange. I was like, are you okay? Genuinely, are you all right? I'm like, clearly you felt very targeted by what I said. Like, they said multiple times. I'm saying they because I don't know if it was a guy or girl, or maybe a non-binary. Who knows? Whatever. But they were just... They apologized twice, I think. Maybe more than twice. And I'm just sitting there reading their response, like, why are you apologizing to me? I've never interacted with you before. What's going on? But then on top of that, they just gave like all these excuses, and then they kind of ended it out with saying, that's why I need another pair of eyes to look at my manuscript. And I didn't respond, but I wanted to, and I just wanted to like hold this person by the shoulders and explain to them that if you need someone to fix your tense changes, you don't need a beta reader, you need an editor. And if I'm volunteering to beta read for you, I am not volunteering to edit for you for free. I beta read because I love the stories that people want to tell. I want to help them tell their stories. I'm not here to fix your technical issues. That's something you pay somebody to do because it is a task and a service that's different from exploring a story in a creative sense. That's something that I do for fun out of the joy of it. You want me to correct your grammar errors? No. That's like your English teacher. You pay me for that. Oh my goodness. I didn't say anything. I wanted to reply, but I'm pretty sure just to get it out of my system, I like wrote up a whole reply to them and then just didn't send it. Because I'm like, there's no point just calling this person out on how insecure they are clearly about their tense changes, because that's not going to help them. And, you know, hopefully there's someone out there who can help them with that. Because basically my response was, they made a bunch of excuses, is the main thing. So they made a bunch of excuses about how I try to edit, but the errors just slip through anyways. And in my response, I was like, then you need to practice your self-editing skills. Don't you want to improve as a writer so that you stop feeling this sense of shame and embarrassment about your tense change issues that you clearly are so sensitive about that you would reply to my I don't want to psychoanalyze someone I've never met. But I was just sitting there like, then practice so you get better. I know that it's hard. I hate self-editing too. It's really difficult and things slip through. That's why I have a professional editor go through Immolation for me, who, by the way, my professional editor said when she got my manuscript, she said, this is a very clean manuscript. This is going to be really, really easy for me to work on because it's already very clean. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. That's so good to hear. Thank you so much. And so, like, I get it. I know that self-editing is hard. Stop making excuses. If you're making excuses before I even interact with you, how are you going to handle feedback for the actual beta read? Can you imagine if I like didn't know that about this person and I took on their beta read and then I gave them some sort of feedback because they needed to improve? Can you imagine how disastrous their reaction would be? They would be, oh my goodness, it would just be such a mess. I'm very passionate about this topic, as you can tell. And again, it doesn't come from a place of cruelty or wanting to embarrass people or anything like that. I get that writing is hard and people have stories they want to tell. That's why I love beta reading. But oh my god. The first draft is the hardest part in the skill, so is editing and self-editing. You need both. Yeah, you need both. Yeah, we all have, yeah, like what Sarah says, you know, we all have times when we write, we're in the zone, and you have to go back and you have to read it later. I always go back and reread whatever I've written, especially if I write it at night. Boy, let me tell you, I cannot spell. And especially, like, in my case, I haven't really had a chance to work with too many people who are English second language as writers. So I haven't really had an opportunity to you know, kind of jump in and assist them with their manuscripts. But what's interesting is it's always the people who are English speakers as their native language who are the most offensive. Like, I'll try to explain to someone, like, you're not using the correct word. Like, you're using through instead of thought. They're spelled very similarly, but they're not the same word. And they'll be like, you just don't understand my creative vision. And I'm like, all right, bye. I'm like, if you can't take that small of a correction, I don't know. I try really hard not to be someone who, again, I don't want to embarrass people. I don't want to shame people. I don't want someone to quit writing because I was unnecessarily harsh on them. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that helps anybody. But I do expect you to put in the effort. AI might not actually replace me, huh? Brontë, you are very safe. Yeah, it's like people who do, yeah, and don't even get me started on the whole AI and the writing area, because people will be like, oh, I already asked ChatGPT to edit it, and they said it was perfect. I'm like, you realize that that's not a compliment. Anyways, but yeah, don't I'm not even gonna get into that. As someone who doesn't write but wanted to write down one shorter story, I go back and check the details and the grammar and sections. Yeah, absolutely. When I was editing, and as I will continue to do for Volume 2 and Volume 3, I would usually go through and, like, chapter by chapter, I would re-edit things. And basically, I've talked a little bit about my writing process on streams here and there, but I don't write in chronological order. And I will oh my goodness, I can speak. I will typically move things around as I am working as well. So I have certain scenes and certain events that happen in a certain order, but then everything else outside of that, there's a little bit of fluidity. Because I think you'll notice, well, or I don't know, I notice, but maybe you won't. I would have to find a good example, but in Immolation, do I have a copy of the book on hand? I'm sure I do. Hold on. I've got like I have like 5 Amazon copies, and I have 15 of the jacketed, no, I have 13 of the jacketed hardcovers here. So I'm sure I've got one of them. Let's see. But basically, for example, as I'm kind of talking about how I don't write in chronological order, there it is. And I will move certain things around as I see fit. And I did this a little bit in Immolation. Well, I say Immolation, in Volume 1. I did this a fair bit in Volume 1, but it's not for every single chapter, but it is for some of them. Because for some of those other chapters, where it's not a set event that has to happen at a particular time, I will readjust the chapters so that they flow from one to the other in a particular way that I personally find satisfying. And what I mean by that is, I wonder if I don't know if I'm going to be able to find one that's a really good example. There's one particular example that's really, really good that I was really, really happy with, but I don't know if I'll be able to find it off the top of my head. I remember it has to do something with Levi, one of our characters, and I think it's toward the end of the book. I'm just going to skim through really quickly. If I can find it, great. If not, I'll just leave it be. The other friend I'm beta reading for also isn't a native English speaker. Brontë is an expert and really puts me to shame. As someone who is a native English speaker, Brontë puts me to shame. If you have the vision of a scene, you write it down and then make it better. Yeah, absolutely. I think I have something like 6 or 7 different versions of chapter 1 of volume 1. It actually went through a lot of changes. Oh, you know what? I think... Okay, no, I can't... It's such a small thing to try to find purely from memory, but I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. But basically, there will be... Yeah, no, I'm not going to be able to find it off the top of my head. Dang it. Well, if I find it later, I will mention it. But basically, I will move chapters around so that they flow in what I believe to be a satisfying way, as long as they're not like chapters with quote-unquote big events in them that need to happen at a particular point in the book. Like, for example, I think there's... The one that I was thinking of with Levi had something to do with characters will be having a conversation, and then, like, I'm just going to use like a random number. Let's say that a character is having a conversation in chapter 55. The last kind of sentence of what they're talking about in chapter 55 will come up in the first sentence of chapter 56, even though it's a completely different character talking. That sort of thing. I was trying to find an example because that's kind of hard to explain in theory, but I couldn't find an example fast enough, so perhaps another time. I left for 20 minutes and come back to this beauty, my lord. Oh, thank you. Well, welcome back. It's not true at all. I'm learning a lot from reading your work. Oh, thank you very much. I'm very flattered to hear that. Thank you. Alrighty, let's see here. Oh, and I also want to... Brontë has this really cute little wooden rosary. She can't have metal because it would burn her. And I think it's going to be a really cute little detail. You were a pro, Brontë. It's true. How long have you been drawing? Oh boy, let me think. Drawing quote unquote seriously since about... I don't know, how old are you in like 5th grade? Like 5th grade, 6th grade. I live in the United States, so I'm not sure how old kids are when they're in 5th or 6th grade off the top of my head. But I started drawing traditionally when I was quite young, so 5th grade, 6th grade. I went through like a formal art education from middle school, 7th grade, 8th grade to high school, all the way through. And by that, I mean art teacher was an artist, and I had to learn like a bunch of different mediums. Had to do like the gesture sketching of like a live model, still life. We used a bunch of stuff like graphite and pastels and paints and so on. Very, very much like a classic artist education. And then I only started doing digital art in about 2015. Yeah, about 2015. That's when I was gifted my tablet and a copy of Paint Tool Sci, and I was completely self-taught, which I would not recommend, but I was completely self-taught. So I just kind of felt it out and been winging it ever since. And I am currently still using Paint Tool Sci. I own CSP, but I don't use it as my primary software. I still use Paint Tool Sci as my primary software, and then I will do some small details and finishing in CSP because it has different brushes and different finishing tools and so on. I also do not animate in CSP. I know you can animate in CSP. I do not personally prefer it or find it pleasant, so I actually animate everything through Sci, which means I draw every single frame by hand, and then I just animate them together in my video editing software versus any kind of animation software like CSP, etc. I would not necessarily recommend doing that. If you are interested in getting into animatics or animation, I would highly suggest actually looking up a proper guide and using a tool that is built for animation, such as CSP or Blender or whatever. But that's what I do. I'm not a professional artist. I'm not someone who's interested in going into like the art industry. I work a very boring 9-to-5 office job. It's what pays the bills, and it's what pays for healthcare. So that's what I'm sticking with. And I do art as a hobby. Don't spoil me with your flattery. Yes, keep doing it. Give Fonte all the flattery. They deserve it. Neither do I. I live in Europe, so we use classier depending on if you are in primary or secondary school. Yeah, so let me see. How old are kids? Let's see. How old are kids in 5th grade in the United States? No, I do not want the AI answer. Usually 10 to 11 years old. So I started drawing like pencil and paper traditional art when I was about 10, 11 years old, give or take. I was honestly probably drawing before that, just doodles. Like every kid does the classic. Did you guys have this in your school? Hold on. Every kid starts out with the classic. There's two things, So this is your piece of paper. That's, oh my gosh, I can't even draw a rectangle. This is your piece of paper. Oh my gosh. At school, you've got like these little. It's gonna have the 3-hole punches to go in a binder. It's gonna have like that red line at the top. Oh no, actually, I think the red line is over here. Whatever. So it's got lines. Like binder paper, right? Like lined binder paper. You write on it, all that. And every kid, I think, goes through like here in the margin. Let's make this like an informational diagram. We're gonna expand this because we all know what the kids draw over here in the margins. We all draw the eyeballs. Every single kid learns by drawing eyeballs in the margins. So I have very early memories of doing that. And then I remember I would draw characters from the Redwall books, because that's when I was reading the Redwall books like religiously. The holy eye. Yeah, did you, so always drawing eyes in like the margins of paper, but also did you guys have this when you were kids? If I'm gonna start it, and if you guys know what I'm talking about, then you're the real ones. Did you guys have this when you were in school? Or is this aging me? Is this showing my age? Personally, I drew MLP ponies and then it shifted into whatever. I remember I had friends who did a lot of really, really adorable My Little Pony art back in the day. I remember seeing a lot of that. No, the S, I know. I think this is how it went. Those, if someone screenshots this, or like this is the thumbnail when they load up YouTube, they're gonna be really confused. But yeah, I remember I would draw the characters from the animated Redwall cartoon. That was about this time as well. Those were probably the first things that I drew that weren't, because my parents were very much like, oh, if you're gonna be creative, if you're gonna be a creative kid, we're gonna have you draw like classical art, like still lifes, paintings, landscapes. That's what you're gonna draw. And then when I started drawing the cartoon characters from the Redwall series, which was my like childhood book series that I read, that was like my first exposure to drawing something that wasn't like a still life or a landscape or something like that. I was like, oh, I can actually draw like fictional things and I can create something. And that led to more creative in the sense of creating fictional things and original characters and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. I created the concept of a sash around Cyril's waist, but then I didn't really leave anywhere for that sash to go. I guess it would be back here, over like behind her. Don't ask me where the fabric is supposed to be going. The fabric is just floaty. We're just here for the vibes. Not here for realism. Legendary asks but backwards. Yeah, I think I did it backwards. Show me the cartoon. Okay, hold on. Let me see. I think that's the second season for the second book. Yeah, there we go. Okay. This is a very crunchy image, but like all 240 pixels of it, but that's okay. But yeah, so that's the cartoon that I watched as a kid, and I would draw the characters from that cartoon. That was like my first exposure to drawing something that wasn't a still life or a landscape, or like recreating something that I was looking at. I mean, I was looking at it, but I mean, I wasn't trying to reflect reality in what I was drawing. I was drawing something animated, something fantastical and fictional versus like a landscape, or, you know, a still life and a jug with a lemon next to it, or something like that. So many bowls of apples. Or the old reliable, the one where they make you rest your left hand, or whatever your non-dominant hand is. The one where you have to rest your non-dominant hand and then draw your hand in front of you. I had to do that a bunch of times. Have you watched all the seasons? I don't know. I think so. I've watched season 1 and 2 because I think so. Season 1 is Redwall. Well, okay. There's Redwall, and I think there's multiple seasons for like the first book. So the cartoons cover certain books. I have watched enough of the cartoons to cover Redwall, Matameo, which is the second book, and I believe Martin the Warrior. I am not happy with what they did to Martin the Warrior because they totally, well, okay, they didn't ruin like the entire thing, but they made one big change that I don't agree with. That is not accurate. I'll die on this hill. But I don't know if there's more after that. I haven't really checked up on it in a while. I actually own like the physical DVDs for the Redwall, for just like the Redwall animations. And I don't own Matameo, but I do own the Redwall one. So I can pop them in and watch them, I say, as I do not have a DVD player. But I have them, I own them, because I love my physical media. Let's see. I need to get curtains because I think with the change of season, the light starts coming in through my window at a very particular angle that sends it right into my eye from the sides of the blinds. I need to get some curtains to cover that, make my life a little bit better. What do I want to do? Winx Club, Wishbone, and Winx. I think my sister watched Winx. That sounds familiar. My sister was very much like a Barbie movies kid. Both because my sister just liked Barbies, but also my mom really liked Barbies. So she was like, yeah, I approve of Barbie movies. That's an acceptable entertainment for our kids, because my mom just also liked them. My mom is the sort of person where I think if she was the sort of person to enjoy collecting things, she would definitely be someone who collected like vintage Barbies, because she really does like them. She's not much of a collector. That's not really her thing, so she doesn't, but it definitely played a part in terms of my sister getting to watch lots of Barbie movies. The third season is called Martin the Warrior. Okay, so that is all right. Gotcha. Yeah, so I guess they must have called it each book. I guess they were calling a season. Yeah, Martin the Warrior. They screwed up at the ending. They basically have the character. I think I know why because I believe, sorry, I just punched my microphone. I think I know why, because I believe the company that was in charge of, like, had the contract for animating those seasons, I think they were either bought out or they were shut down. I'm not entirely sure, but I think generally speaking, they knew that they were not going to do any further animations. At least that's my recollection. So they tried to add this scripted element of finality to it by making the character say something very, like, definitive. And I was like, Martin didn't say that. I've read the book. I know Martin didn't say that. So, but I think they were trying to, for lack of a better phrase, future-proof it by making him say that at the end. And I'm like, that's not what he said. That's okay. Winx was my childhood. I don't know why I really liked it. I don't think my sister got to watch a lot of it because my parents didn't have, like, we had a TV, but I don't think we had the channels that would play Winx. Like, my sister and I really were only allowed to watch TV Saturday morning. That was, like, our only, like, dedicated TV time. And we got to watch Disney Channel. And I don't think Disney Channel played Winx. I don't think they played them. But yeah, so I don't think we got to watch too much of it. I feel like my sister's friends definitely watched it, but I don't think we had the TV channel available, or we weren't allowed to watch at the times that it was playing. Have you watched Avatar 3? I haven't even watched Avatar 2. I don't really have time to watch a lot of movies. I'm also just not really a movie person. I was talking to my uncle recently. And both he, my dad, and myself are all not movie people. But my mom is very much a movie person. So she'll be like, "Oh my gosh, what do you mean you haven't seen, like, a particular movie?" And my uncle and my dad and I will just kind of shrug and be like, "I don't know, we don't watch movies." Who's your favorite Winx fairy? Mine was Stella, but I'm more compatible with Flora. All right, who's the most popular fairy? I say this as someone on the outside who has no idea. And you should be able to see... I'm tilting my head very far, not that you can see me, but you should be able to see, like, Bronte's little sideburn of hair coming down here. And, like, the very beginning of her ear. Like, a little bit, probably more. Like, underneath. Cyril's mouth is dangerously close to kiss on the cheek territory. It's a sin, probably. I don't know. I say I don't know as if I'm not the person who makes the rules. Bloom supremacy. Bloom is clearly popular. Dang. She's the main girly. Buddy, look where the hand is. Listen. Listen. He's I don't have a good excuse ready for him. Let's give him his rings. It's in character either way. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'll fine-tune her wrists so you can actually see like what her hand is doing, but I'll do that later. Look them up and tell us which one you like. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Because I'm assuming that they're... Because I know that I think Netflix did like a Winx thing that was like really poorly received. So I'm gonna grab a picture and you guys have to tell me if I've got the correct like generation of the show. I think this is correct, but you're gonna have to tell me who's who because they don't come with names. All right, I think these are the I think these are the right ones. Oh, dang it, it put it on a... Okay, well, let's see. I'll do a screenshot. That's gonna be a little bit easier to see instead of that black because it's transparent. There we go. Okay, we can get rid of this one. All right, educate me. Who's who? Or should I guess? Should you guys tell me or should I guess? You're gonna have to like give me a name and then I'll try to say who I think is who. Dia, may I make fan art of these two beautiful cookies? Yes, absolutely. And if you make fan art, please, please, please show me. You can tag me or anything. I'm so sure Cyril has sinned a few times throughout this dance. Absolutely. He absolutely has. I should guess? Okay, well, if I'm guessing, I'm gonna go off of the names you guys have said. So let's see. What are the... Okay, hold on. I need to write down what names you guys have said. So at least I have Stella, Flora, Bloom. Stella, Flora, Bloom. Who else did I miss? I think I see my first crush was Valtor. I'm going to assume that's a guy. I vaguely remember... Oops. I vaguely remember... Oh my goodness, sorry. I don't mean to like draw on your face like that. I remember this girl. I've seen her before. But I don't recognize any of the other ones. I said who's to ignore. Oh god, okay, I'm not looking. I'm not looking. I genuinely do not recognize her. She's clearly Asian. Like, she's reading Asian coded to me. But I don't recognize her. Okay, who's Bloom? Okay, well, I haven't read the answer. I also didn't realize they had like little versions of them. Bloom makes me think flowers, which makes me think pink is gonna be Bloom. So that's my first guess. What is okay? So I have Bloom, Stella, and Flora. Oh, there's Flora too. Maybe she's Flora then. Flora is another. Okay, well, I know Stella is. Stella makes me think star, and she's yellow, so I'm going to assume that she's Stella. And I'm not sure about Flora. I feel like this girl could be Flora or Bloom because pink. Maybe, okay, maybe, well, okay. I'm probably thinking about this all wrong. Because I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, blue, water. Obviously it's by element, when I'm sure that that's not accurate, but my brain reads it that way. So if Flora, okay, so I'm gonna change, because she's pink, I'm assuming that she's flowers. She's also got a flower necklace. So I'm going to change Bloom to the girl in green, and this is gonna be Flora. And this is Bloom because she's got like green for like green plants, so I'm assuming. But I need the other names. Well, you said brown hairs. There's two with brown hair. Well, this is like a dirty blonde. But so either way, I'm wrong. So neither of these are... Okay. I have no idea what her name is. I have no idea who this is. Musa? Is that her name? I don't know who, like, they all look very fantasy, and then she looks like something out of a sci-fi, so it makes me think that she's, like, sci-fi coded. I don't know. She looks like a space ranger or something. like I don't know what her name would be. Blonde, dirty blonde. Okay, so I'm right. So this is Flora. So I think Aisha, is that how you say it? So I was wrong, which would mean presumably this girl is Bloom, because this is Aisha. Oh, can I fit that? Ooh, barely. And now I have no idea who she is. She looks like she should be on Team Rocket. And I'm also, I have no idea what like the little ones are. I'm not that deep. Techna? Okay, well, if she's supposed to be like science fiction-y, that would make sense. So Techna. Technology. So red hair. Red hair. Okay, red hair is okay. So wow, she was Bloom all along. Yellow. So yellow being Stella. That was, I think, the only one I got right. Magenta, Techna, Navy. Navy. Is this a good time? Is this a good time to point out that I'm colorblind? Brown floor. Okay. Yeah, I straight up wouldn't have known these ones at all. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm definitely... Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I've learned so much today. You got it, a round of applause. They're very cute. They're very fun designs. They really, I think this this girl, especially Stella, is a very specific design that really calls back to my childhood. Like, I didn't watch this show, but like her outfit, I think it's the chunky boots. They're really giving me like Y2K vibes. I'm sorry, I'm deeply colorblind. Oh boy. Well, these are all very, very bright colors, so I can mostly read them. But, and this is also like an image on a screen, so I can read it pretty okay. But for example, in real life, I frequently have trouble. I don't know which. Basically, I don't have a formal diagnosis for being colorblind. I've actually taken colorblindness tests several times for work. But basically, when they sit you down and they have the little booklet where they show you, it looks like, hold on, it looks like this. Let me show you. If you've ever taken a colorblindness test, and basically what it is there's like a big circle. Close enough. Okay, I'll clean it up a little bit. There's a big circle of a particular color, and it's made up, if you have trypophobia, maybe look away, but it's basically like a bunch of little bubbles of like a particular color, right? So this whole circle is like made out of bubbles of that particular color. And then in the center of it, there is a number or a letter made of bubbles of a slightly different color. And again, it's all bubbly. I don't know why I'm drawing this. I could literally just, hold on. I don't know why I'm drawing it when I can just get, yeah, I can just get an image. If you have trypophobia, look away. I don't think it's that bad, but I'm a horrible judge. It looks like that. That's what the colorblindness tests look like. It's a series of these. I believe they all wear chunky boots. We love to see it. But yeah, so it looks like that. It's a series of, that one's very obvious, and basically they start obvious and they get more difficult as you go. But basically, there is a certain area of green where my eyes cannot detect it. So I will be able to do most of these with a few exceptions, to the point that I have been denied from a job because I couldn't pass the colorblindness test, which was very unfortunate because I had to go through like a whole physical exam to like prove that I was capable of doing the job, because it was a relatively physical job. And then they're like, you couldn't find the 8 in the bubble, so we're gonna cancel your application. Sorry, you spent 6 months applying to this government position. Have a nice life. By the way, you can never reapply because you're colorblind. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. But I don't have a formal diagnosis, so I don't have, like, I think like the labels are like red, green, colorblind, etc. Like, I don't have a formal diagnosis for like that level of colorblind, but it's enough to the point where there are certain colors that I really struggle to see. Mostly it has to do with like shades that are very, very close to one another. So if something is like a very light yellow next to white, I will have trouble distinguishing those two things. I also struggle a lot with dark blue, dark purple, and dark green. If those are near each other, they will pretty much all just read as gray to me. I won't be able to tell the difference between them. And I know because my dad used to mock me because I used to point at a particular car in the school parking lot and be like, that purple car looks cool. And he's like, that's green, idiot. I'm kidding, he didn't say that, but you get the idea. So it's not a huge hindrance. Generally speaking, I can see most things. There's just a couple of very, very niche scenarios where I will sound like a buffoon if I try to say what color something is. But yes, so I'm technically colorblind. It's a little bit hard for me to distinguish. The Winx characters were very, very bright, very saturated, but like when you said navy, I was like, I don't see that. I straight up don't see navy anywhere on here. Fun. I don't know if I want this to be in front or in back. I will start with in back and we'll see. I don't think we even get checked for that here, and you left possible jobs. Yeah, so it was going to be like government security at a particular location where you had to have like top secret clearance and all this kind of stuff. And the application process was like 6 months. And I was on month 6. I had made it through everything else. So at first I had to pass like the preliminary background check. And then I had to, where they had to like check everything from like the moment that you're born all the way up to everything. You have to have references. I had to ask my friends, I'm like, hey, are you willing to be called and be a reference for this job? They said yes. They called my references, yada yada. So I got through that, and then I had to go in for the in-person interview, which was a duo interview. There was one other person. So I go in there and I was like fully dressed with like my button up, my tie, everything, fully dressed, business shoes, because that's the way that they told me to dress. And then this other girl comes in and she's like wearing jeans and a sweatshirt, and they're just like, get out. And I was like, oh my gosh. Yikes. I mean, like, yeah, you should have read the interview, like, dress code, but oh my gosh, they were like not even wasting time with that. They're like, nope, get out. It's like, oh gosh, okay, so it's just me. And so then I have to go through this interview, and it was a panel interview. There were like 3 different steps. First, it was one person at the counter. I have to do an interview with her, and she was like not happy to see me. And then I have to wait 15 minutes, and then I go in and I have a panel with 2 people, and I have to wait. And then I have to go have a final panel with like 3 people, and then I wait another 45 minutes in the waiting room. And then they come get me and they're like, okay, you're in through that section. Now we need to take your fingerprints. So now I have to go get fully fingerprinted, and I have to go through all of that. And they're like, okay, your next step is you have to go in for the physical to prove that, obviously, like drug testing, all of that, but also that like you're physically capable of like doing all the stuff that we need you to do for security. And I'm like, all right. So I go in, do the drug test. That's fine. I didn't eat any lemon poppy seed muffins the day before, so it was fine. But then they have to do this physical, And it was it was just really really weird because they did all like the general stuff where they test, you know, like your reflexes and all this sort of stuff. But like, for example, one of the things that they had me do is obviously the color blindness test, but they like lock you into this pitch black box that's like completely sound dampened with a pair of headphones on, and you have to click a receiver in your hand every single time you hear a particular tone, and that tone gets quieter and quieter and quieter, and it comes at a random interval, so you never know when it's coming, and you have to click for as long as you hear it, and that's how they see how sharp your hearing is. And it's like, it just this absolutely terrible, like, I don't have claustrophobia, but getting locked inside this pitch black box was not fun. So I had to do that test. And then the really weird one was I had to stand in front of the doctor, and she said, okay, stand in front of me, put your feet shoulder width apart. I said, okay. She said, put your hands out in front of you like you're holding a tray. So your palms are facing up and your elbows are at 90 degrees. I said, okay. She said, okay, now close your eyes. I'm like, okay. And then she puts her like digs her fingers into my shoulders and tries to push me back. And I have to prove that I won't fall over or lose my balance or have to take a step back to steady myself if my eyes are closed and someone is shoving me. And we had to do that for like each direction. Really weird. And yeah, and then after all of that, they were like, you're colorblind. No. So after all of that, and then you can never apply again. You can never apply again because your color blindness is not going to change, is the argument. They said, you're now banned from applying to this position, so have a nice life. I was like, oh, okay. I really wish I would have known that before I spent 6 months applying for this job. But, oh well, it is what it is. Now I have a government clearance background check, I guess. So that's handy, you know, for all the situations in which I'll need that. But yeah, really, really, really weird experience. It was very weird having a doctor who was like 5'1", like digging her fingers into my shoulders and shoving me really hard. I was like, this seems unnecessary. You could shove me without digging your fingers into my shoulders. You could just use your palms. But whatever. I don't know. I'm not the professional here. That's so weird. It was really weird. It's also funny because when I went in there, basically you go to this like separate medical center that is contracted with the government to run these tests because they're equipped to do so. And you can tell every other like employer that's in your general area that requires drug tests is also sending all their employees there. So it was me, who was just a job applicant, just in there to take like some normal drug tests and so on. And like all of the USPS or not USPS, but the UPS, the brown trucks. If you're in the United States, you might know them. I'm not sure if they're international. I think they are. Anyways, like the postal carriers, like the delivery drivers, it was just me in there and then a bunch of delivery drivers in uniform who are just doing their like routine drug test that they have to do for work because they're driving and operating machinery. It was just really funny. It was just me and like a slew of all these UPS employees. But yeah, didn't get the job. It's fine. I have a new job. That was a couple of years ago. I think that was back possibly during COVID. So it's been a good, what, 5-6 years now? But yeah, so no government security job for me. I'll do a little bit more work on this, but then I am going to call it a day because this was supposed to be a short stream. Because I do have a bunch of stuff I need to do today. But I will work a little bit more on this and then I will wrap it up. Actually, what I think I want to do. Lads, I got school tomorrow. Gotta go. Try to stay till the end. If you need to go, please don't feel obligated to stay up. It's been wonderful to have you. I'm so glad you could make it. Hopefully you can make it next time. But real life comes first. If you've gotta head to bed, please don't wait up. It's probably gonna be, I don't know, 10 more minutes. I just want to see if I can do some blending on the shading here, and I'm gonna call it a day. Might have been for the better. They don't seem to value their employees. Well, my private company doesn't really value their employees either, to be fair. Yeah, work is crazy, but and as long as I have a job is what pays for immolation. So I keep at it. We're getting all sorts of shenanigans thrown at us at work, and hopefully I don't have to do a bunch more overtime because I don't enjoy doing it, but we'll see. Beggars can't be choosers. Because my boss is getting moved, so I'm going to have a new boss again. I've been with the company for a little over 2 years, and this is going to be my 4th boss. Everything's very disorganized, but it is what it is. Why did my music stop? All right. Well, you know what? We'll just play our closing music because we're going to be using that soon anyways. See if I can finish blending some of this stuff before the song ends out. Probably not. In the end, it's all for Cyril and Brontë. It's true. Everything I do for them. Trying to figure out where that extra stuff is. A little bit of it is on Cyril, but not too much. Whatever. I'll come back to it later. Vexento time. Yes, this is Yuki by Vexento, which is just a lovely little piece that I really enjoy listening to. I love your style, gorgeous. Thank you so much. I'll see you later. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you can make it next time. I just noticed my boy only has to, oh no, he he has all of his fingers. It's just a really rough sketch. And I tend to group the fingers. So here. Informational diagram for Cyril's finger ownership. Here's his thumb. That's his pointer finger. Middle finger. Little finger. You can see that it's just not colored in down here. Little, not little finger, ring finger, little finger. I promise he has all of his fingers. This one doesn't count. He's making a fist because he's holding his cane down there. I promise he has all of his fingers intact. A proud owner of all 10 fingers. Fingers and toes accounted for. And I think it might be fun, real quick. I have basically until the end of the song. It's just gonna be really rough, but that's okay. You should be able to see his rosary too. I don't even have his belt rosary. Oh my gosh, I forgot so, well, not forgot. It's just not in there yet, but still. Like, you should be able to see his rosary and his belt, which would be like. I think it'd be a nice outcome. You know, it could be cool is if we have the longer part kind of caught up on his cane. That could be fun. Something like that. And obviously the cane itself. That could be cool. Alright, I'm gonna leave it like that. They're breathtaking. Thank you. I hope this story doesn't have a happy ending. I didn't see the ring finger. Yeah, it's not fully colored in. I always, if you ever misplace one of my fingers, it's because I grouped the ring finger and the middle finger together. Imagine he dies because she killed him while having such a vulnerable moment. Yeah, please. They're breathtaking. Thank you very much. Thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you had fun today. I certainly did. It was great to chat with you guys. I stream every other Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hopefully you can make it. I'll be live on both YouTube and Twitch. If you can make it, I would love to have you. Thanks so much for being wonderful to chat with. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will see you next time.